Okay, I guess I could go in a little bit more to why I abandoned the Expanse. Um, they weren't kidding when they said this is more like the reimagined Battlestar meets Game of Thrones. And it's especially apparent after book 5 because you have so many like mistakes compounding on mistakes when the whole of humanity should be combining together to beat off the threat of what the photomolecule stuff really is, and the fact that there's a crazy Cerberus type faction within the former Martian government that's like, oh, we found the shipyards of the basically like kind of first ones that made the photomolecule, and then the photomolecule thing basically killed them off because it decided to go kind of Skynet. And I was looking at a lot of spoilers for the later books because it's just after book 5, I'm like, I'm done. They basically take what Londo's people, what the Centauri did to the Narn homeworld, and extrapolate that by like a category times of 5 to where people can only live in dome cities on Earth now. The one life giving thing to everybody that's at Mars, the Belt, and everywhere else, and even going through this gate to go to find other settled places, if they're not properly already set to support, human based life, where's all the extra materials gonna come from? Not from Earth anymore. Um, they basically there's far too much. What humanity has no fucking hope. We're the monsters. We're not going to be kind of enlightened. More enlightened first ones to like orient to pass on our knowledge, or even like with deconstruction of fallen stars, we're not even gonna get to that point. We're gonna basically KO each other before we completely colonize, say, even other local clusters whatsoever. And it's going to probably take an ass pull for them to get everybody out of trouble. Looking at some of the other spoilers, apparently humans have a natural kind of like not quite immunity, but a resistance to certain aspects of the photomolecule stuff, even after they've been assimilated. Uh, and what happens to Amos? I'm like really? Wow, you're gonna do that to him? Okay. Um, they even kind of make Holden a bit more shady in later books, to where it's like the guy is betraying some of his own values to do other shady shit. It's like, oh god. Uh-huh. Okay. Basically, this thing follows more modern trends to a T of, well, let's deconstruct stuff, but we're not going to reconstruct anything. We're going to break down all these characters eventually, and then any one of the characters that is fairly likable, they do the big damn sacrifice, they die. I think Avasarala is the only one that legitimately dies of like old age, because there is a time skip in the series of like 30 years. But yeah, it's just yeah, nobody's working together really. They work together out of necessity during certain parts in later books after 5 to try to get a one up on the enemy, but they're not doing it out of any sense of like common sense of unity or brotherhood or anything else like that. They're just doing it out of bare minimum of survival. There's apparently kind of like a Cthulhu slash kind of Reaper type thing that's eating ships. That has to do with the photomolecule technology and the photomolecule aliens and everything else. Um, it just doesn't go the way that I want to see things go. Um, if you're really into all that stuff, like the Watchmen's Boys and Game of Thrones of the world, you might enjoy how things develop with the Expanse. But for me, it just became, it's like, we are the monsters in every category. The ugly warts of humanity, how we're gonna basically like the average human is more like along the lines of, yeah, what if we were all Mr. Morden as the standard? Like, oily, greasy, and willing to do everything in the name of survival. Which is that's what Morden really did. Like, especially if you get to read The Shadow Within. He went full bore survival mode, and that's why he made the deal with the devil when it came to the shadows. The difference is, like, Babylon 5, yeah, it has its darker moments, but like JMS was saying, you can't feel everything with sadness, then it loses its effect. You can't feel everything with horror, it loses its effect. You have to have compare and contrast. You can even do this in a more uplifting setting or a more utopic setting. All you gotta do is look at the old Star Treks and things like that, that had a more Flash Gordon feel. Even as an example, Berserk has its lighter moments. It has to, because its overall setting is grim. But even that series has its compare and contrast moments. But Expanse just becomes more shit and shit byproducts by the moment. I have a feeling that it's probably, if I had to take a good guess, since apparently that writing team was heavily influenced by Mass Effect, but in the other direction, where they didn't mind the green osmosis ending, I have a feeling that The Expanse is probably going to end on a synthesis kind of ending too, where humanity really won't be humanity anymore. We're going to be like all interconnected by the photomolecule. And that way we'll reach true harmony at last because we'll be interconnected with each other. It's like, oh shit. What basically what it comes down to with The Expanse, it feels like it's like, yeah, mainly focusing on humanity's warts and shortcomings and how we'll never really truly get along and create a united front, even under the pressures of, species annihilation, basically, which at least Mass Effect did, like, bring the various races together, even though in the end they made it horrific victory. I have a feeling of Expanse is also going to have a horrific type of victory. I mean, they already KO'd Earth, the life giver of the whole setting, because even when I saw in the previous books, before I basically dropped it, a lot of these colonies that they were able to create, even though they were able to live on the surface of the planet, they still needed a lot of materials from Earth and from the outer colonies of the solar system. They still needed all that raw material to come in to help build up, initial bootstrap colonies. Yeah, Expanse isn't just the wheelhouse I want at all when it comes to space opera. It's too infected by the mundane manifesto, like I said in my blog thing earlier. And that's about it. If you're looking for something that has more light and dark contrast, I would say, yeah, even the reimagined Battlestar Galactica is more adequate for that, because it does have its lighter moments to where you can genuinely cheer for the characters. But now everybody is pretty much trying to out grimdark each other and out shit-tastic each other, where it's like shit, 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 everybody sucks, shit, 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 everybody sucks. I mean, I'm just tired of it. That's the reason why you'll see, when I try to do things, it's like, okay, I'm going to do a compare and contrast where this thing fell on its face, and then in comparison to what I'm doing with Protocol, because I'm just tired of the endless down in the dumps nihilistic stuff everywhere. Nihilism is the new what do you call it? Like what was that stupid show? Orange is the new whatever, black. Yeah, nihilism is the new coat of paint for everything. Ugh. Yeah. No. So again, people can enjoy The Expanse if they want to, but it doesn't mean you can force me to enjoy it as well. Which I guess the same thing goes for Superversive stuff, but I'm just hoping that by working together that we can make Superversive bigger than it is, or it might take a couple of years, but I eventually want to have the pendulum swing back to where there's more balance. It's like not where there's just constant deconstruction of everything. in a very real way, the Expanse is deconstructing things. But unlike Astro City, it doesn't know how to reconstruct. Everybody's an expert on Watchmen type deconstruction, but nobody wants to take the time anymore to build or rebuild the archetypes. That's about it. Have a good day, everybody.